November and December are on fire for fight fans. Last week, I gave you my top 10 most exciting unranked fighters fight. And in this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 ranked fighters fights that I can't wait to watch and need to be on your radar. I know that these are on your radar already, but I need to talk about them with you. So let's get going. It's high stakes for every one of these fighters as we've got champions, title contenders, and rising stars. Every single one of these fights matters as it's either a title eliminator or next in line for a title eliminator, or the belt is on the line for a championship. The implications of every single one of these fights are massive. Coming in at number 10 as one of my most exciting fights coming up in the next 3 weeks is a flyweight fight between Brandon Royval, ranked number 3, and Kape, ranked number 8. Third time is the charm for these two fighters as this fight has been scheduled 3 times due to injuries. It's finally set for December 13th. It's a fight night. This is going to be a showdown of flyweights. Brandon Royval is a rangy fighter. He likes to fight at a distance. He's known as a high volume striker as well as a high volume grappler. His roots are in grappling where he's really good, but as of the last 3-4 fights, he looks to make every fight a slugfest. He's coming up against number 8 ranked Kape. Kape is a Muay Thai wizard with great footwork and explosive power. He's also got great scrambling skills. While I think that this fight is going to take place mainly on the feet, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into the second or third round and Brandon Royval shoots for a takedown and we get to see some excitement on the ground. Here's what's interesting. They're both high volume strikers. Manel is slightly more accurate. Kape, even though he is 4 inches shorter, has the same reach that Brandon Royval does, which is interesting because Brandon likes to fight at a distance and Manel, being a Muay Thai fighter, likes to fight in the clinch or in the pocket. He's going to have that reach advantage, and I think that's going to give Brandon a little bit of a disruption in the flow. He's also more explosive and the more accurate fighter. I'm giving the edge to Kape on this one. If it isn't a knockout in the third round, it's definitely decision Kape. As it's been called, the lightweight division is a shark tank, and this next fight, which is number 9 on my list, is no exception to the rule. This is going to be a showdown of elite level grapplers. I have number 9 ranked Benny Dariush, and he's taking on number 13 ranked Benoit Saint-Denis. Benil Dariush is a technical grappler. He's a veteran. He's very, very good at what he does on the ground. We saw him in his most recent win against Renato Moicano. It looked very good. Here's the thing. He's coming up against Benoit Saint-Denis, who is 6 or 7 years younger. Dariush is starting to show some cracks in his chin. We saw that in the loss against Charles Oliveira and Armand Tsarukyan. Even though he had the win over Moicano, he did get knocked down by Moicano. And he's coming up against an explosive Benoit Saint-Denis, who also is a Muay Thai expert, and Benoit thrives in chaos. He likes when it's fast. He likes when it's chaotic. That's where he shines. This is a match of grapplers that are exceptional. The thing is, I think their grappling kind of cancels each other out. They're kind of mirror images of one another, but I give Benoit Saint-Denis the edge. I think he's just slightly better at everything. His rapid, aggressive style on the feet is going to be a little bit overwhelming for Dariush. No doubt that both of them are excellent on the ground. I think we're going to see a lot of scrambling. I think Dariush is going to shoot early. There's a lot on the line in this fight as Dariush is getting up there in age. I think he's 36 and he's a gatekeeper at this point. He's never had a shot at the title, so he's really making this concerted effort to get a title shot. Benoit Saint-Denis is trying to make a name for himself and trying to rise up to the top 10. Like I said, a lot is on the line. I think I'm going to give the edge to Benoit Saint-Denis on this one. It's going to be very close. In the end, the Muay Thai striking, his aggressive, chaotic nature is just going to be too much for Dariush to handle, and he's got that edge of being 6-7 years younger. Another thing about Saint-Denis is if you take a look at the tail of the tape, you can see that not only does he strike almost twice as much as Benny does, does. He also hunts for submissions. This is evidenced by his high submission rate and his finishes. This is what we're going to see over and over in this fight. I think BSD is just going to be aggressive and he's just going to be hunting that submission. The 8th most exciting fight on my list is number 4 ranked Leon Edwards taking on number 9 ranked Carlos Prates. This fight is UFC 322 taking place on November 15th. This is just coming up in a few days. I can hardly wait. We've got Leon Edwards, ex-champ. He's a very technical, sharp striker. He likes to manage the distance very carefully, very rangy fighter, uses great kicking, very accurate, sharp striking. He's coming up against Carlos Prates, who is a Muay Thai wizard. The interesting thing about this fight, we know it's predominantly going to take place on the feet, although we know that Leon Edwards does have some sneaky wrestling, so it wouldn't surprise me if he tried to take Prates down. Prates' wrestling isn't the best. I think it's going to be interesting because we know from the fight with Prates and Ian Machado Garry, if Carlos gets thrown off with his rhythm and he's on his back foot, he's just loses some kind of flow and he's at a disadvantage there. The thing with Leon is that he likes to pace himself. He's methodical, he's strategic, and that could throw Prates off. The key to Prates winning this is that he has to press forward and he has to throw hands. That was completely missing from the Ian Machado Garry fight. It was just surprising because he would try to press forward and then he would get completely shut down until the very end of the fight, and he actually knocked Machado Garry down. I think that if Carlos is taking away anything from that fight is he's got to start a lot earlier and he's got to press forward and he's got to throw hands. The window of opportunity for Leon Edwards is to throw off Carlos Prates' flow. If we take a look at the tail of the tape, we see that Carlos has the edge. He hunts for knockouts, and 16 of his last 17 wins have been by TKO or knockout. I'm going with Carlos Prates on this. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I think that hopefully Carlos learned from his fight with Machado Garry. Oh, and here's the thing that I wanted to tell you is that he won in that fight against Jeff Neal with that beautiful spinning elbow. He actually called Leon Edwards out for this fight. The UFC is making it happen for him. Let's see him step up. This is a pretty good step up for Carlos to show his chops. I'm picking Carlos Prates in this fight by TKO or knockout in the 3rd round. Coming in at number 7, I've got number 1 ranked Belal Muhammad taking on number 8 ranked Ian Machado Garry. This fight takes place November 22nd in Qatar, and the buildup has been gold on this fight as there's been trash talk going between the two all along, this chitter-chatter, pitter-patter back and forth. Ian Machado Garry said that Belal was an idiot for staying on the feet in his fight against JDM, and Machado Garry said he hopes that Belal makes it that easy for him in their upcoming fight. And then Belal fired back and he said Machado Garry was a coward for not taking a 5-round fight. We know that Belal has excellent cardio. He is a wrestling machine. Ian Machado Garry, on the other hand, has his roots in karate. He's very fast. He's tall, lanky, likes to fight from a distance. Imagine a heat map, if you will. I would say that if the fight takes place within the inner 2/3 in the octagon, it's Machado Garry's fight. If it takes place in the outer 1/3, Belal has all of the advantage. Belal likes to fight on the feet, and he did actually quite well in the fight against Leon Edwards. Not great against JDM, but again, as JDM. If Machado Garry can keep it in that range in the center of the octagon, he definitely has an advantage with his speed and his precision. There's a lot at stake for this fight because this is an example of one of the title eliminators. So Machado Garry is seeking his breakout here. On the other hand, for Belal, this is redemption for him. He's coming off the loss from JDM. This is his first fight back in the octagon. He's got a bone to contend with Machado Garry. So he's really looking to prove himself and to get the belt back. I don't know if he'll get it the next fight. If he does win, there'll probably be another match that he'll have to take on. I think think it's going to go all 3 rounds. I'm saying Bilal by decision. Coming in at number 6, I've got number 2 ranked Brandon Moreno, and he's taking on Taira, who is ranked number 5. This fight is going to be jiu-jitsu and judo on steroids. Brandon Moreno is veteran at this point. He is battle-tested, tough, and he's dangerous everywhere. Taira is a Japanese juggernaut who blends beautiful judo throws and transitions them into dangerous chokes. His only loss was to Brandon Royval. He put up a great fight against Brandon Royval. I think that he's going to learn a ton from that fight. He's 25, 26 years old. I think he's a future champ. Brandon Moreno is no easy opponent for him. He has been in some wars. He's a former title holder, after all. At this stage in his career, he's been through some really tough battles. I don't want to say he's fight old, but I think that time is going to start wearing on him. I think Taira is coming in with a vengeance after his fight against Hyung Sung Park, where he had that face crank that was basically clinic. We're going to see lots of time on the ground, lots of scrambles. Both of them are going to be hunting for submissions from everywhere. If you look at the tail of the tape, you can see that Brandon throws more hands. Taira is more accurate and he has more takedowns. Although I do think it's going to go 3 rounds. It's going to be a high-paced fight with a lot of submission attempts. I'm giving the edge to Taira on this one. Coming in at number 5, I've got UFC 322. This coming Saturday, November 15th, it's a welterweight showdown between number 2 ranked Sean Brady taking on number 8 ranked Michael Morales. Guys, it's very rare that we get to see 2 fighters facing each other who are 18-1, Sean Brady, against 18-0, Michael Morales. A lot is at stake. This is another one of those fights where it may not be title eliminator, but it will be next in line for a title eliminator. I have to give major props to Sean for taking on this young up-and-comer in Michael Morales, because Michael Morales is known to be dangerous. He is a Muay Thai savage with power in his hands and his knees. He's also very big. He's probably got 2, maybe 3 inches on Sean Brady. Sean Brady is huge. He is a wrestling phenom. I like to say that Sean is like glue. Like once he gets you up against the cage, he is going to take you down and he's not going to let go of you. On the other hand, Michael Morales can scramble and he can stuff a takedown. I just don't know if he's going to be able to withstand that 3 rounds against Sean Brady. Sean Brady is so good. He's a Division I wrestler and he turns bouts into grinding, suffocating wars. Taking a look at the tail of the tape, you can see that Brady has a 4-1 takedown advantage over Morales. I see Morales being able to defend against that some of the time, but he's not going to be able to do it all the time. This is where Sean Brady is so very good. I see this one going the distance. I'm giving the win to Sean Brady. Number 4 on my list is a lightweight fight taking place November 22nd in Qatar between number 2 ranked Tsarukyan and number 7 ranked Dan Hooker. Now there is a logjam in the lightweight division with multiple deserving contenders and inactivity from some fighters. Finally, we get to see Arman and he's taking on Dan Hooker. Arman is a wrestling phenom. He has freakish strength, freakish flexibility, and he likes to close the distance, take down his opponents, and wear them out with ground and pound. Dan Hooker is tall and he's fast. He has crisp jabs, ruthless leg kicks, and he's going to look to keep the fight on his feet. This is a 5-round fight, and it's going to be interesting for Dan because he's going to have to withstand Arman continually trying to get him up against the fence and continually trying to close the distance. If you look at the tail of the tape here, you see that Arman likes to strike. He's okay on his feet. Clearly, Dan strikes more. Their striking accuracy between the 2 of them is about the same. There could be a lot of striking because Arman isn't afraid to use his boxing for the takedown. But if you look at Dan Hooker's takedown defense, it's not so great. And we know that Arman is continually going to be pressuring him. If there is any chance that Dan can win this fight, he has to keep it on the feet. He's going to have to use sprawl and brawl. He's going to have to pump up the jab, and he's going to have to do whatever he can to beat Tsarukyan up and go for a finish against Arman, because I don't see this going to decision. I'm giving Arman the edge in this one. He obviously will be able to take down Dan. I don't think Dan is going to be able to defend against the takedown over 5 rounds. I've got Arman winning in over 2.5 rounds. He's just going to be relentless with his chain wrestling and his top control, and I think he's going to wear Dan out, but I see him winning by submission, either round 4 or round 5. Number 3 on my list is UFC 323, taking place on December 6th. This is the main event between Merab Dvalishvili, the current champ, and he's taking on number 3 ranked Petr Yan. Merab Dvalishvili is a pressure wrestler with alien level cardio. He will chain takedown after takedown, mat return after mat return. He has the most in the UFC at 92 plus takedowns, which is incredible. And he's taking on Petr Yan. This is their second fight. The first fight was extremely dominant. Merab won every round. Apparently, Petr Yan had a broken hand and was only at 50%. Now that we're seeing him coming back and healthy, Petr's gonna shine with the boxing. He is arguably one of the best pure boxers. He has crisp counters, excellent footwork. I don't know that he has single punch knockout power, but we're going to see a lot more striking activity. He's gonna look to catch Merab. This is a 5-round fight, so the advantage here clearly goes to Merab, because that probably, besides his chain wrestling and his relentless takedowns, his cardio is absolutely his greatest weapons, because he can go far and above what most humans can do. Petr is coming back with a vengeance. He had a chip on his shoulder after his last loss, and he's really looking to make a point. The advantage that Petr has is really to keep it on the feet. I don't see how anyone can do that against Merab, especially with 5 rounds. Naturally, I'm giving this to Merab, but I think it's going to be a great fight on the feet, because we know that Merab's striking has improved a lot, and Merab likes to give a show. He likes to put on a performance, and he likes to entertain us and show us how he's improving. Let's just hope that he doesn't make any mistakes, or if you're a Petr Yan fan, just hope that he makes a mistake on the feet. I'm giving this one to Merab, and I think it goes the distance. I think Merab wins by decision. The second most exciting fight coming up is UFC 323, taking place on December 6th. I've got the flyweight champion Alexandre Pantoja taking on number 1 ranked Joshua Van. Alexandre Pantoja is the current flyweight king, the unfinishable king. He's on a 7-0 win streak, with 6 of his last 7 fights winning performance bonuses. So either performance of the night or fight of the night. He will stand in the middle of the octagon and bang with his opponents. He is not afraid to get in there, have it be chaos, and have it be dirty. He will use his striking to take down his opponents, and once he gets your back, forget it. He loves a rear naked choke, he has vicious guillotines, and this guy submits like he's brushing his teeth, like it's nothing. He's taking on Joshua Van, who is the current prodigy and is on one of the fastest rises in UFC history. Joshua Van is a Muay Thai killer who throws hands like there's no tomorrow. He was invited to fight Brandon Royval just 3 weeks after his win against Bruno Silva. Brandon Moreno stepped out of the fight due to an injury. Joshua Van stepped in. It was a standing war. He beat Brandon Royval, who was number 1 ranked at the time. This fight will definitely be fight of the year. If you haven't watched it, go take a look at UFC 317, one of the biggest fights that you can't miss for 2025. This is going to be an excellent fight. There is a lot at stake here. Pantoja will be 1 step closer to moving to legend status, as he's knocking on Demetrius Johnson's door with title defenses. With this win, it gets him a little bit closer. Joshua Van, if he wins, will be the 2nd youngest champion in UFC history, only to John Jones, who at 23 became champion. A lot at stake here. Ultimately, I think while we know Joshua, real quick, let's take a look at the tail of the tape here, because this is where you get an idea of why Joshua Van has had this supernova rise to the top of the flyweight division. He throws hands. He has the highest significant strikes landing per minute in the UFC at 8.86. If we look at Alexandre Pantoja's finish rate, you can see he's going to be hunting to finish Joshua Van. So while Pantoja is strong on the feet, he's not afraid to get in there, he's going to use that to take down Van. This is where Joshua is going to be in for a surprise. We know he's good. I think he will eventually become champion, but I think Alexandre's pressure, and once they get on the ground, I think it's going to be too much for him. I saw Joshua Van in an interview saying that he's good on the ground. Who can be in the UFC if they're not great on the ground? Until you come up against someone like Alexandre Pantoja, everybody thinks that they can grapple. I think the champ just has too many tricks in his bag. That pressure is going to be a lot for Joshua Van. I think this fight is going to go over 2.5 rounds. I see Alexandre Pantoja eventually submitting Joshua Van. I'm going to say in round 4 or round 5. And now the number 1 fight on my list and your list, because face it, this is the most highly anticipated fight of the year, is this Saturday, UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena, the champion, and Islam Makhachev, the number 1 lightweight contender for the welterweight title. I've got a lot to say on this, guys, so bear with me while I break this down. Jack Della Maddalena, the current champion, his fight against Belal Muhammad was brilliant in terms of his anti-wrestling. Jack Della Maddalena is arguably the best boxer in the UFC currently. But it was his anti-wrestling that got him the win against Belal Muhammad. A lot of people questioned Belal's strategy and why he didn't shoot to take down JDM more frequently. And the answer to that is that Belal didn't have many opportunities because JDM used the jab and dip and cross and dip strategy that worked beautifully. The jab and dip allows him to move down after he jabs. So what this does is it counters a takedown attempts because the head is low and the hips are pushed back. So Belal didn't have the opportunities to shoot for the takedown because he would have come up against JDM's head. Now, worst case scenario for JDM is that he would have the underhook if Belal did shoot for the takedown. But JDM was able to stuff takedowns as well. This is what is causing so much conversation regarding JDM and how he's going to beat Islam is with his anti-wrestling and his boxing strategy. JDM has a switch stance, so he can cut angles and come at you from anywhere. He is precise and his combos are dangerous. Islam is good on the feet. His boxing is underrated, but let's face it, up against JDM, on the feet, JDM has the advantage. However, JDM has never faced a wrestler like Islam Makhachev. Belal is excellent, but the Dagestani wrestlers just bring something, they just bring it to a whole new level. Now, here's the secret weapon. We saw that when JDM fought Gilbert Burns, he was taken down multiple times. When he fought Belal, he stuffed the takedowns and he prevented takedowns from being attempted. The secret weapon here was Craig Jones. Craig Jones, I think he has made it his life's mission at this point to crack the Dagestani code. We've seen him in interviews talking about defenses and scrambling opportunities, and he's been working with JDM since before his fight with Belal, and that's why we saw such an improvement in JDM's wrestling defense. And you can see that in the interviews that JDM has had lately, he's got this quiet confidence. He's not boastful, but he has been saying that Islam is going to be surprised if it gets to the ground because he's going to be able to defend on the ground. If you look at Craig Jones' videos, you see that he's been dedicating a lot of time figuring these Dagestanis out. And I think that they have been working on this relentlessly, ceaselessly, and this has given JDM a lot of confidence, rightly so, because he got that win against Belal and he was able to keep the fight on the feet. Up against Islam, I do think that JDM has advantages. He's accurate, he's dangerous. He doesn't have the single knockout power, but he will piece you up with the combinations. If he gets Islam against the cage, Islam is going to have to work to reverse it immediately. If Islam has JDM up against the cage, he has the advantage. I see Islam has a pathway to victory here. Where I think Islam has the advantage is in tiny moments. The first tiny moments is Now that JDM has confidence if he gets taken to the ground, I don't think he's going to be willing to go to the ground, but I think he's going to feel comfortable enough there. And that is where JDM is going to scramble. And it's in those tiny scrambling opportunities that Islam is a threat. It's Islam's experience, it's his high level elite grappling that I think he can expose that scrambling opportunity to go in for a submission threat. I also think that for Islam to operate effectively with this, it has to be done in the first or second round while they're still dry. Although I do think that with Islam's continued takedown attempts and the scrambling, he's going to continue to look for those tiny opportunities, just like he did in the fight against Dustin Poirier. It was when Dustin scrambled that Islam was able to get Poirier in the choke and get the win. The second place that I believe Islam has an opportunity for the win, and he has to do this, is we know, because we saw this in the fight against Bilal, we saw JDM jab and dip and cross and dip. And it's in those moments when his head goes down that Islam must use his kickboxing. He has to come in with a kick to the head. Those tiny moments, the scrambling opportunity to come in with his submission threats, and the moments on the feet when JDM goes down and tries to slip the jab or the counter, those are golden moments for Islam. And I know that he has to have been working on this and finding those little moments of opportunity to win. There's so much at stake here. This is Islam's potentially second division title. Islam would be doing something that Khabib hasn't done, so there's a lot on the line. There's a lot, of course, on the line, obviously, for Della Maddalena, the champ, defending the belt. This fight is just going to be incredibly exciting. It's going to be so close, so very close. I don't have a popular take on this because I am partial to wrestlers. I love a good ground game. I like the Dagestani wrestlers. I know that that's not a popular take. I love their discipline. I grew up with a lot of discipline in my ethnic background, so I can relate to that austere, no frills, very serious. I like Islam. I would like to see Islam win. Ultimately, this fight goes the distance. I think Della Maddalena does get the win by decision. Right now, JDM is the dog. I think he's plus 225, which is a very juicy bet. If I'm placing money on this fight, remember, I don't always pick who I want to win or who I think should win. I pick where the money is. And if Della Maddalena remains a plus 225 dog, I'm definitely putting my money on that. All right, guys, that wraps it up. These next 3 weeks of UFC fight cards are a dream. I hope you are as excited as I know you're as excited as I am. Are you losing sleep? I'm literally already losing sleep for this weekend's fights. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Give me your comments below. Who are your favorites? How do you think Jack wins? How do you think Islam wins? The other fights, do you think Patoja defends the belt? Give me your comments here. Let me know what you think. All right, enjoy the fights. See you soon.